we're starting to gain some clarity into what it is that Brandon Aiyuk actually did to cost him $25 million in guarantees. What's up? Welcome to Cohn and Krueger. That's Larry Krueger. I'm Grant Cohn. Today's show is sponsored by Cash App. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. Just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, A-Block Incorporated. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. We're also sponsored by Cozy Earth Premium Pajamas and Blankets, which is a great gift for the holidays. Got a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays. This weekend, only from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, get 40% off at CozyEarth.com with code COHN. It's the best deal of the year. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here. All right, Larry. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, reported today about Brandon Aiyuk that the reason the Niners voided his guarantees is that essentially they wanted him to come to some team supervised rehab assignment over the offseason. And Brandon Aiyuk apparently blew it off. And I guess they feel that in blowing it off, he was behind schedule in his rehab, and that's grounds for termination of the guarantees. What do you think of this new information?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, and that somebody said that they were like the recommendation from the league was that the only thing the Niners could do was to void the guarantees in the contract. That was the only move they had. The only card they had to play. It's a gray area. It's a gray area because it's one of those things where you telling me that every single player trains exactly the way the team wants, or do maybe some players train the way they want and some players don't train the way the team wants, and it's all about what kind of standing are you in with the team? Is Nick Bosa training exactly with the Niner people every time, or is Nick Bosa training on his own? I think it ultimately comes down to, Grant, communication. And also, when you're making way, way, way more money than you're worth, you better know all the ins and outs of your contract, because you have to know that your employer, while you think of him as a friend, is actually kind of an adversary, because it's all about the money. And it's like, well, are you going to get that money? You're going to get that money if you live by the letter of the law in the contract. But if you give somebody an avenue to get out of that contract and you're not worth the money you're making, they're going to get out. And that's what happens here.
I guess the follow-up question would be, are the 49ers smart to get rid of Brandon Aiyuk? I understand they don't want to pay him this much money and they're angry with him and they don't like him. Maybe they just clash. Maybe they've said things they can't take back. But are they better without him? They're really betting on him not being good on his next stop, on his next team. When he was good, he was Brock Purdy's number one target. Brock Purdy, the thing that's supposed to make him special is the fact that he can anticipate throws down the field and throw to spots more than 5, 10, 15 yards down the field. He's not so good at that if he doesn't have Brandon Aiyuk. It's a lot easier to do that if you really trust a top-level wide receiver who can get open down the field like Aiyuk could. You think this will backfire?
It's a good question that you raised, because there's what is his value? There was the value that he had pre-trade or pre-injury, and then there's the value post-injury. And I don't know. I don't want to be super negative on the guy's injury, but it's a devastating, catastrophic injury. And I think they're probably in the right to gamble that he's not going to be good, but it is a gamble. Nobody really knows. He could come back and he could be, fantastic, but it was a catastrophic injury. And I think they're just looking at the money invested, the supply and demand situation. There's tremendous supply, almost that far exceeds the demand. And then look at what you've got out of Bourne earlier this year off the street. If you can get that out of Bourne off the street, then why would you ever invest $20+ million a year in a receiver that's very good, but I don't know if he's an elite difference maker. And that was before the catastrophic injury. So after the catastrophic injury, if I was gambling, I'd gamble that he wouldn't be worth it.
Well, it does seem like I never thought he was a top 10 wide receiver, but he's a lot better than Ricky Pearsall in the
Yeah.
sense Ricky Pearsall flashes ability, but it seems like he kinda gets well, you've talked about this when he got drafted. He gets knocked off his route a little bit. He's not a very physical player, and I think part of the reason Brock's struggling I mean, a lot of those picks are directed at Ricky, and I think with Brock, whose game is so predicated on timing and anticipation, you need to be at the right spot at the right time, and I think Brandon Aiyuk could do that in 2023. I don't know how consistently Ricky he do it sometimes, but a lot of times I don't think he's where he's supposed to be or where Brock, anticipates him to be, and that's the problem.
Yeah, lots of people, and I'm sure they've sent these things to you too, have shown me videos of Ricky open. I've seen lots of videos of Ricky open. My contention, and I wanted to ask Shanahan about it today, and I totally zoned on it. I'm gonna try to get this out next time. Is Ricky open early in the down? Because I don't think he is. I don't think he's open early, and so all the short and intermediate stuff, I don't think he's open then. I think he's open down the field, but that requires the Niners offensive line to kind of hold up and Brock to be able to get him the ball and see it and the whole thing. So that would be my guess from just watching the all 22. It seems like there have been times when Brock has looked over at him and then keeps going through his progressions. Like maybe he took a look at him and he's not open, and then he comes back to him and he's open, or he comes back to him and goes to him. I rarely see Brock first read, Ricky, boom. I don't think I think I saw one time in the last 3 games.
Yeah, it's a good call. As far as Aiyuk goes, is he so wrong? You said it's a question of communication, and you're right. Obviously, you can't stop communicating with your employer, although Jimmy Garoppolo did that. He had kind of a similar ending. But is it so wrong to not want to rehab with the Niners training staff? I mean, like, how good are they? What are they known for?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a good decision, but I think it also is probably one that has to be broached professionally, not just like, oh, I blew off the Niner guy. I think you'd have to say, hey, you know what? Hey, whatever, Kyle, John, Niner representative, we're going to work out with this doctor or this coach or this, this trainer, not your guy. And I think that has to be communicated. My guess is, I mean, here's the thing too. There's a lot of money on the line. If he hadn't for sure broken the terms of the agreement, then I would imagine he wouldn't just be willingly walking away from millions of dollars. I think the fact that he's not looking to recoup or file any kind of grievance with the Players Association kind of shows us that he kind of may, whatever happened here, he probably knows he's in the wrong. And at this point would probably rather just separate from the 49ers than try to make amends.
Final question with Aiyuk, then we'll move on. Is it possible that other players around the league, maybe in college, maybe other free agents, are looking at this and thinking, geez, I don't really like the way you treated Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, he was your first round pick. You could have treated him the way the Lions treated Amon-Ra St. Brown, made him feel wanted, extend him as early as possible. You waited, you haggled, you sort of went to war with him in the media. You signed him, but then you regretted it and you found a way to get out of the contract. I mean, there's going to be other wide receivers better than Aiyuk who are worth more than Aiyuk, who have more leverage than Aiyuk, who are going to consider signing with the Niners one day. Do you think this will be in the back of their mind?
I think we need more information, to be honest, because I think we got to find out exactly how does Iayuk go on a podcast in 6 weeks and trash them? Well, I think there could be some damage there. Does he go on something with Debo and they're ripping the 49ers and the organization and how they're going about their business? Maybe there's some meat on the bone there. But based on what's happened thus far, I would say the 49ers seem like even though they've parted ways like all teams do with a number of different players, I think the 49ers are in pretty decent standing in the league with other players. I think they're, maybe their practice habits could be called into question. Maybe they practice harder on Thursdays than some teams do. But as far as being team friendly, I think Kyle Shanahan is almost like a player. I think he's got kind of an open door policy. I think that kind of gets around the league. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it's all predicated on what comes out going forward from Ayuk's camp, I think.
Here's my take on the Iayuk drama. I think it all stems from something that I've been talking about for years. I call it the Cabo click. I feel like this team has a click, and it's Kittle, and it's Juszczyk, and it's Brock, and it's McCaffrey, and it's the guys who vacation together. And it's great that they're friends, but it seems like they're a team within a team. And the fact that Juszczyk has such a prominent position at the table when he's a fullback and guys who produce more than him aren't really in this clique, I think there's consequences. And I think the whole thing with Aayuk since he got drafted, which is 5 years, is that he was never really in the clique for whatever reason. Maybe he's just a jerk or he's antisocial. But I think a lot of his stuff with the shorts or his disgruntled nature was just being an outsider on this team. And I think it's easy to uh, leave the way he is when he never really felt like he was in the way the fullback is. That's my take. And it's not just Aiyuk. It was Devondre Campbell last year. There are these disgruntled people who feel replaceable, even if I mean, Devondre Campbell doesn't earn anything, but Aiyuk did. No matter how you feel about his personality, he was really important to Brock Purdy. And you could argue that Purdy's regression the last couple of years coincides with Brandon Aiyuk's alienation and injury.
And just not being out there. I mean, yeah, I mean they haven't had him. I mean, Aiyuk was at a level a couple of years ago in camp that he's never reached since, and I don't think he's ever going to reach it again. It is interesting as far as the click. I mean, Trent Williams, I guess, is in that too, right? Because he, I guess, vacations with them. Like, is JJ in this click? No. I don't know. I think ultimately, it's you got to make decisions. It's like governing, right? You got to make decisions. Who do you want with the cap? You got to decide who you want to keep, who you want not want to keep. And I think the decision initially was we don't want to keep Debo, and of our receivers, we're going to keep Iayuk. But then I think over time, JJ started showing up and bigger than Iayuk in some of the bigger moments, including the Super Bowl. And I think if you had asked Shanahan, and Lynch, truth serum going into this year, hey, if you could have Iayuk or JJ in 26, who would you want? I think they would have said JJ. So I think this door, now I don't know if it's related, but I do think this door closing on Iayuk does open the door for Jennings to stay in 26. So I don't know if they're related or if it's just a cap thing, but I think there was no way Jennings was going to come back. No way there was budget room for him if Iayuk was there. But now with Ayuk's voided stuff happening here, I think Jennings potentially, if he wants to be reasonable, could come back.
Yes.
I don't know if that answered the question, really.
No, it does. But my thing with Jennings, I like Jennings a lot. Good player, and they could probably get him for a good price. He's just not a replacement of Brandon Aiyuk. That was supposed to be Ricky, and maybe it will be Ricky. But for Brock, to get the most out of Brock, what makes Brock is that he's so eager to push the ball down the field, despite having one of the weaker arms in the league, and he can pull it off with anticipation and timing. But to do that, like, you really have to have a receiver who challenges 3 levels of the defense. And that's not Jennings. He's a short intermediate player. When you try to go deep to him, I mean, it better be off a double move. He better be wide freaking open. We've seen Brock throw deep to him and have really bad results against the Rams last year to lose the game. I'm not saying bring back. I mean, Ike's done. It's over with. But they got to bring in another wide receiver. I don't know if Ricky's enough.
No. They wide receiver is a major need for this team now. I mean, they need a difference making, I don't know who it's going to be, Carnell Tate or something. They need somebody in the first couple rounds.
Need some speed.
I like Jeremy Bernard from Alabama, but I mean, he probably going to be a second-round pick. But yeah, they got to have an offensive tackle. They got to have a receiver. They got to have, a defensive lineman or two. Those are musts.
Today on X, Kurt Warner compared Brock Purdy to himself. Said really sees a lot of himself in Brock Purdy. And when Kurt Warner was at his best, he had, Marshall Faulk, that's Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Bruce, Niners don't have that guy, and Torrey Holt, who I always thought that was my comparison for Brandon Aiyuk, a lot like Torrey Holt. Well, You got to replace these. If you want those kind of results from Brock Purdy, you got to have those kind of weapons. Let's talk about Brock. He's having a real interception issue. He's thrown multiple picks in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's thrown 9 picks in his last 5 starts. It's becoming an issue. What do you see, not just from the result of the pass, but from the process, the way the ball leaves his hands, the way he's driving it or not, his footwork? What are you seeing on film?
Well, I mean, okay, a couple things. First of all, don't get gaslit by these people who are like trying to be like, well, it's 3 bad throws. No, 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 no. It's 3 intercepted bad throws. There were probably 6 interceptable balls. He could have thrown 5 or 6 picks in that game. Let's not confuse this. It's not like, oh, he was awesome, except for these 3 throws, and we're nitpicking after a win and all this. They won the game, so you know what? It's not like life stops or something. But the reality of the situation, and I was sitting there next to Todd Husak, who played briefly in the NFL and played at Stanford and knows a little bit about something about quarterbacks since he was one and quarterback mechanics. And he was pointing out to me a couple times, look at the replay and look at his right leg. He's not throwing off of a planted right leg. He's throwing with all arm and all shoulder. It's not with a strong base. So stuff around, have you noticed he looks pretty good when he's zipping it around 5 to 7 to 12 yards around the line of scrimmage? He looks pretty good. He looks pretty much like Brock. Where he doesn't look like Brock is when he's the first couple steps when he tries to escape. He doesn't have the same explosiveness. So he starts to run and then stops running. We've seen that 2 or 3 times because he realizes, hey, I don't have the same speed. I can't run the same way. So then he stops running and looks to pass. And then the arm strength isn't there because he can't bury that toe into the ground. The arm strength is not there. All of the balls that we're talking about that didn't look good were 18 to 25 yards in that range. They're longer throws down the field, and those balls hung in the air. I mean, it's like, and it wasn't just this game, by the way. The last pass in the Arizona game to McCaffrey, where he's jumping up, it's like we're still waiting for that ball to land. But Brock has thrown some bring rain kind of medicine ball type. I mean, just big, slow, looping stuff in the middle of the field. And I mean, you're breaking all 3 of the rules of NFL quarterbacking. You can't be late. You can't be late over the middle. And you can't be late over the middle with nothing at all on the football. And that's what, and in Shanahan and Purdy, I mean, they're defending this. It's like, hey, he made the right decisions. We're not talking about his ability to process. I think we all would grant him that he has tremendous ability to process. What we're talking about is pure arm strength and the delivering of the football. And he's like, hey, I didn't put enough on that pass. Well, it's like, I mean, yeah.
Then why throw it? Throw it?
But I mean, stop floating balls late. First of all, if Orlovsky made a decent point today, and I do agree with him, even though I don't think Orlovsky's the greatest, but whatever. He made a point that Brock is seeing it late, that he's a little late. It's not just that the arm strength's not there; he's not throwing with the same anticipation. So you're a little late with your anticipation, and then you're throwing a ball that's hanging in the air that has nothing on it at all, and then you're in the middle of the field. I mean, guys are going to break on those passes, and that ain't the last 3 pick day. And you got people defending these quarterbacks also threw 3 picks. Shut up. I mean, seriously, shut up. It's not about the 3 picks. It's about the fact that this guy on 20-yard passes down the field, the ball is hanging in the air, and it's not about the 3 picks that he threw. It's about the 2 or 3 that he could have thrown in addition to those 3, and it's about the 5 that he's going to throw in Cleveland on Sunday. I mean, that's to me.
And you talk about him processing too, and like I've seen him process well. I've seen him go deep into progressions quickly. But the fact of the matter is, since he entered the league in 2022, of all the quarterbacks who've thrown at least 700 passes, he has the highest interception percentage at 2.83. Got that from Josh Dubow. Like, that can't happen, man. If you can read defenses and read zones and anticipate where to go, then stop throwing so many picks. Because all the rules are in your favor. You can't touch these wide receivers. The league average in picks is like 2.4. And Mac Jones came in, same team, same system. His interception percentage is 2.1. The whole reason to go from Mac back to Brock is that people said there were going to be more big plays. That Mac is good, but he's sort of playing like Jimmy and dinking and dunking and leaving things, leaving meat on the bone. There's stuff down the field that he wasn't hitting. All right, well, here comes Brock Purdy, and it seems like because of the toe or whatever, he's not. I mean, I'm looking right now on some Summer Sports, Sumer Brain. I asked him, what's Brock Purdy's rating on passes that traveled 20 yards downfield this season? According to Sumer Brain, his passer rating on passes that go 20 yards downfield is 28.8, 17 attempts, 9 completions, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. I mean, if that's what he's going to do, if he's 75% healthy, if he can't quite make a guy miss in the backfield, then what? Then should he be playing?
I mean, this is the elephant in the room. It's like, have you noticed that every person associated with the 49ers is like, when it comes up, should Kyle consider playing Mac over? Oh God, no. And then let's talk about the two quarterbacks. You would swear that Purdy's like Joe Montana and Mac Jones is like DeBerg. And it's like, no. There's not that huge divide between these two guys. There just is not. And stop gaslighting us. I understand why you're doing it. You have invested over $100 million in Purdy, and you can't. If you've invested that much in Purdy, you can't entertain dialogue that says that Jones could be better, or Jones could be as good, or Jones could be even in the same stratosphere. Because then immediately Jed's first question is, why did you two donkeys give this other guy $100 million if these guys are readily available and we can have this other guy for nothing? So they understand the dynamics here. So that's why everybody's pushing back so hard. The intellectual dishonesty on this topic is off the freaking charts. The only people that are truly honest about this are people that have nothing invested. You, me, a few other people have nothing invested. The Niners are invested. Don't ask them. It's like, hey man, I got 2 cars. I got a Bentley and I got a Honda Accord. And I'm sitting here talking up the Honda Accord constantly. Well, the first question is, why'd you spend $200,000 on that Bentley if the Honda Accord's so freaking great? So that's obvious. So they're trying to squelch the entire conversation, because we can't possibly have that conversation because all roads lead back to we effed up. So we can't have that conversation. So there's
all right, hold on. So they're trying to protect their decision to give him this contract, and I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, at a certain point, winning football games has to be the number one priority. So let's say, I mean, they're fighting for a playoff spot. There's no guarantee they make a playoff. They make the playoffs. And Brock Purdy just had this horrendous performance. Probably should have been pulled, but they didn't pull him and they won. So okay, no harm, no foul. You escaped. If he does that again, throws a couple picks and they lose in Cleveland and they end up missing the playoffs by 1 game, I mean, that's a fireable offense. You missed the playoffs because you played your injured quarterback instead of the guy who was doing well. I mean, you asked for it. And so good luck if they play Brock Purdy this weekend. They better beat the freaking Browns.
Well, then it also kind of comes across like Kyle's playing Purdy. Is Kyle playing Purdy or is Purdy playing Purdy?
Yeah.
Because I get the sense that Purdy was like, you know what? Mac Jones is looking really good, and I'm standing here watching my job get taken from me. I'm getting back on the field by hook or by crook, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to battle. Now, part of me respects it. Part of me respects I want to fight for my job. I want to fight for what I have. I get it. But what people don't understand, or maybe they
as opposed to like Jimmy, who just gave it to Brock in 2022. Go ahead.
Right. But the one thing I think people don't get is that Brock's not going to, it's not static. He's not staying the same. By playing, the turf toe is going to probably get worse. So the lack of arm strength, the lack of mobility, whatever inaccuracy he may have, it's not likely to be better next week or better the week after that. It's likely to be worse. So that's the question is, do these rainbow balls and these, the inaccuracy and the inability to run or escape, does that become worse over time? Because if it does, I think right now we're looking at Brock Purdy at about, my guess, I mean, who knows, but I would guess 75%, 80% of Brock Purdy right now. And so 80% of Brock Purdy, with how competitive he is, it's comparable to Mac. But man, I'm telling you, if he keeps continuing to turn the ball over, or if he and in any way regresses further south from this, Jones will be the better option, and Shanahan will lose face in the room if he doesn't play the better option, I think.
I think he's the better option. I mean, when Jones was playing, Shanahan was able to call games in a different way. He was able to call 40, 45, 50 dropbacks, and win because Mac Jones wasn't throwing an outrageous number of interceptions. He wasn't throwing an outrageous number of turnover-worthy passes. And with Brock, I mean, there was a hope that he could take the offense to new heights and unlock certain potential, but now he's thrown so many picks that Kyle has to like work around Brock and run the ball a lot and manufacture all these short throws the way he used to do for Jimmy Garoppolo. I just, again, if it wasn't for the contract they had to justify, they wouldn't do it. And I think it's obvious to everyone why they're doing it, and it better not cost them a freaking game because people are going to be upset.
What's entered into the equation now, though, is now their jobs are tied to Purdy.
Yep.
And that's what's different between this time and last time with Garoppolo. Last time their jobs weren't tied to Garoppolo. Now their jobs are tied to Purdy. Kyle has said on more than one occasion, Brock Purdy's the last quarterback we're going to have here.
He did.
He
did say that. That's a good point.
I almost got the feeling
like Jed said
that wasn't his line, that was a line that was said to him.
Thank you
and
for
he's just sharing us.
Because it's like
sharing that
their job should have been tied to Trey Lance, but then it wasn't, and they got to like wiggle out of that because Brock Purdy appeared. It's like, can't you do that again with Mac Jones? It's like, look, Jed, I know you spent $250 million on this guy. Sorry. But look, we got Mac Jones. He's great. Pretend you spent that money on Mac Jones.
Anybody who wants to debate that fact, by the way, Ryan Pace, is he running the Bears right now? The guy who drafted Mitchell Trubisky?
Oh, no.
No, he's not running the Bears anymore. Most of the time, if you take a quarterback in the top 5 and you swing and miss, you're gone. Now, I don't think those guys should be gone. You don't think those guys should be gone, I don't think. But at the same time, that's a huge hit. And so Purdy saved their bacon, and now they're all in on Purdy. And I'm sure Jed was like, hey, we'll do this, but this is it. This better be the guy. And now, I don't know. I don't know how heavy-handed the Yorks and Jed are when it comes to football, or if that's something that we're creating, because we have no real intel that gives us, that these guys are, that Jed is, Kyle or John are on the hot seat, or that Jed's pissed off or whatever. But I mean, the Niners sure did rein in the spending this offseason, and I got to think that came from Jed.
Mark says, hey guys, missed the game, watch the highlights. At one point, Joe Buck said the crowd was restless after Brock's third INT. Thoughts? How would he know?
How would Joe Buck know? Yeah.
But I did hear a lot of people saying, like, I was in the crowd, I was in the seats. People were saying, bring in Mac. I think that's kind of normal in a game where the starter's struggling and the backup's good.
I mean, I was at a game in the Niners' last Super Bowl winning year where Steve Young got yanked.
I was talking about that.
I was at that game, 40-8 Eagles. Steve Young got yanked, and they went on and won the Super Bowl. And
he like MF'd Seifert on the sideline.
Seifert totally
didn't even look at him.
Steve's passionate, but Steve went bananas. Went bananas.
Yep. This is my team. Who do you think you are? How can you take that? And
Steve, a lot of people think he
didn't even look at him.
A lot of people feel like he gained respect and a louder voice in the room because of his attack. His like kind of, this ain't going down like this. I mean, Steve had some serious gumption, man.
Yeah. And that was my point. Like, you don't have to bench Brock Purdy, but you should have pulled him from that game. You won in spite of him. You can pull a goalie in hockey. You can take a pitcher out in baseball. You used to see quarterbacks get pulled and then start the next week, but they didn't. And again, I think it's all because of the contract. I mean, you got to show the team that there's a standard of performance and everyone's accountable, no matter what.
Which leads us to what's next. And does Brock, and I wanted to ask Brock this question today, but I didn't have the nerve. The question I wanted to ask was, hey, man, if you continue to struggle and throw 2 and 3 interceptions per game, would you take yourself out of the game and just say, hey, I'm not playing at the level that I'm used to playing at? Or do you just put your head down, try your best and let Shanahan pull you out of the game? I mean, I almost wanted to ask that question, but I just felt like it was going to not be well received.
Yeah, but I would like I see why you wouldn't ask it. To me, that's actually a better question for Kyle. And I wanted to ask it after the game, but I lost my nerve too. Because to me, I asked Kyle, like, did you consider going to Mac after the third pick? And he just said no, and ended at
Right.
that. Could have followed up with why or how many picks would Brock have to throw before you'd consider it? I mean, at a
Well,
certain point, there's a limit, right?
yeah, I mean, and then it's like, have you heard the term soft benching? It's like, or if Kyle in this game against Cleveland, if the Cleveland's had 20 hits on the quarterback last week, if they had 20 hits on the quarterback this week, and they went to Mac Jones in the third quarter, would we call that a soft benching sort of? Because maybe he'd be like, well, Brock didn't look right to me. His mechanics didn't look right. His ball didn't look right. And it's like, well, what are you taking him out because he's bad? Or are you taking him out because he's hurt? And it's like, they're never going to take him out because he's bad. They're always going to take him out because he's hurt. And then immediately the speculation is going to go to, well, is he being taken out? Is it a soft benching? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, I could see that whole thing starting to happen if Brock's just I'm gonna keep playing, and he keeps playing poorly, and then what?
That's a good question. Bill Kennedy says Lombardi wants a job with the Niners PR department. See no evil. Nick says team is chasing narrative instead of Super Bowls to help the egos of the Cabo clique and the coach. I do feel like the team is chasing narratives, and it's so beside the point of what they need to do. Just win. Play the best players. Kane Fan 57 says Mike rain in Cleveland. We all know how Brock plays in the rain. Again, against good defenses. Also, lost last time we played them. Yeah. To me, they didn't want to play Brock against the Rams. The same logic applies this week. I mean, this is a really tough defense, a really tough atmosphere. Any quarterback the Niners put out there is likely to struggle in this setting. So why not let it be Mac? Why don't Mac throw 3 picks and get hit?
Well, I mean, they don't want to get into this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, back and forth, which I'll tell you. Now, I don't know what your stance was. My stance on the Purdy thing was you were winning games with Jones. He had just completed 85%. He's in a very good rhythm. You're playing winnable teams. You have a quarterback that has turf toe. Why not hold out Brock Purdy till the bye week? And then you had 4 games out of the bye after the bye. And then the playoffs, to me, that's probably what he can play. Now you may have to go to Mac Jones in the playoffs.
You know why? Because Mac would have lit up Arizona and Carolina.
And then all of a sudden we would be talking.
He'd be on a winning streak. His numbers would be, I mean, he was peaking when they benched him. He wasn't going to light up Arizona. I mean, probably would have. So I think they felt like he lost. Arizona's coming up. Brock's going to be great. That was your opportunity to slide Brock back in there. The only thing is they didn't expect him to melt down against the Carolina Panthers. Now, J.C. Horn is really good. He made some great plays. But damn, didn't expect that. Brand New says Grant and Larry like Kobe and Shaq. Who's Kobe? Who's Shaq? Stephen Niners says you guys should rock, paper, scissors for who asked Brock why so bad. That's not nice. Okay, that's enough Brock for today. Brock,
that's enough.
Do better. Eric Kendricks. The Niners signed him to the practice squad. They tried to sign him last year. They ended up with Devondre Campbell. That didn't work out. Now they get Eric Kendricks. He's kind of old, but I mean, they're probably going to pick him. They're probably going to call him up on game days. He might just play. The only guy in front of him at Mike is Curtis Robinson, who has one career start. What do you think of this? Do you call it a signing if he's on the practice? I'll call it a signing.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably just stopping by the practice squad for a shake off the rust and get warmed up. I mean, he's going to be out there. I mean, to me, this is a direct issue with their cheapness at the undrafted market. I mean, you were dominating the undrafted market. You found Azeez Al-Shaair as a undrafted free agent. You were 26th in undrafted free agent spending. There were 7 or 8 really good young linebackers that you could have signed that are now developing and playing on other teams around the league. And you didn't sign any of them because you wanted to save a few bucks, and it came back and bit you in the butt. Now here you are. You have Jalen Graham, and he really can't play, and you got Stone Blanton, and he's more developmental. and you're just signing veterans off the street instead of having a guy who's young and talented who learned your system all summer and you've been developing all fall and winter. You don't have that player because you went El Cheapo, and were 26th in undrafted free agent spending when you should have dominated that market. So this is a result of that. This guy's best days are obviously behind him, but I bet you he'll wind up playing. And I don't know how he'll play because I don't know how he's moving around, but he was a good player back in his day, but it was a number of years ago.
I'm not going to write him off. I mean, the only guy ahead of him on the depth chart is Curtis Robinson, who, I mean, Tatum Bethune was playing well, and then he got hurt. Let's see how long Curtis Robinson can keep it going. I like what he's doing. But I think the Niners have had some success bringing in guys on the practice squad, vets on defense, like Cleveland Farrell has been one of their better additions this year. I mean, he's on the 53-man roster now. He got fully promoted, right? Their only sack last week. He sets the edge. He's a pretty good player.
Yeah. I think this guy might be able to help. If you're going young and you're rebuilding, like we know you are, since you have like 12 rookies on your team and you had 3/4 of your D-line were rookies and all that. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like you're going young. Go young, commit to the youth. Instead, you went cheap at the undrafted market. Now you are into late November trying to sign guys off the couch and who used to be something. I don't think that's the preferred route.
And I understand that they don't want Nick Martin playing Mike, I guess, because they don't want him communicating or they don't think he'd be good at it. But the fact that you spent a 3rd-round pick on a linebacker and you can't play him at this position, so you have to go get 40-year-old Eric Kendricks, it's not ideal.
That makes that look pick. I mean, even if that pick was a great pick, right now you're casting doubt on that pick with this signing.
Yeah. All right. Ji'Ayir Brown, he's having a good season. He looked like he was benched, and he had to work his way back up from the bottom. He was special teams, and then they gave him a look at, big nickel. He was pretty good at that position, and now he's the ball hawk they needed him to be, the ball hawk he was supposed to be. At least he was in his last game. Do you think the Niners should extend him? Do you think he's a candidate to get a second contract with this team against all odds?
I really like this guy. I really do. I like this guy. Now, we're always, we're always quick to kind of react and instantly grade. And a lot of times it takes a little time. This guy had 10 interceptions his last 2 years in Happy Valley. I think he's a hardworking football player. I think he's a tough football player. I think he's just kind of coming into his own. You can tell he wasn't taught great coverage. He's better in the box than he is in coverage. I don't know if he's a star player, but I think he's a better player than Niner fans right now think he is.
He's interesting because he's had 3 coordinators in 3 years, and he played pretty well under Steve Wilks. He was pretty horrendous under Nick Sorensen, and now he's improving rapidly under Robert Saleh. It's possible that having 3 coordinators in 3 years affected him, and that it's hard to play well for Nick Sorensen. And now that Robert Saleh's back, maybe it's no surprise that he's had such a rapid ascension. Maybe if he could stick with Robert Saleh for a while, he would turn into a really good safety. I mean, if he's the kind of guy who doesn't really have speed and needs to work on instinct, then the longer he's in one system, the better.
It's kind of like, I mean, it's like showing up on time. One thing I loved about Hufanga is that even though he ran a slow 40 for the stopwatch, man, he was so fast on time, and he was always on time, and he showed up right at the ball at perfect timing. And Brown's coverage at times this year has just been super soft. He's 4 or 5 yards behind it, but he's starting to play faster. He's starting to see it more. You heard Robert Saleh made an interesting point today. He's playing football, not fitball. And what he meant by that, it was just like, he's just playing the game and reading and just thinking as he sees it and trusting his eyes. He's not sitting there going, if you're thinking too much, you just can't play. You're just always going to be a step behind. He looks like a guy that has thought too much, and now he's speeded up because he knows the game better. So he's never a burner. He's not a 4-4 guy. He's a 4-6 guy, but he's strong. He's athletic. He loves to play football. I like this guy. I wouldn't sign him to a big money extension, but I absolutely want to keep him. I think he's a culture player. I really do.
I think he's a similar style of safety as Talanoa Hufanga, and when you have a safety like that who objectively is on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to speed, and you want him to be good, you need a coordinator who really empowers them to play on instinct. If you're just asking them to sort of execute their assignments like a robot, then they're going to do it slowly. They need to be a step ahead. And I don't know if Nick Sorensen really empowered Ji'Ayir Brown like that, but it seems like Saleh is and Wilkes did. And he's responded to the challenge in a major way. So shout out to Ji'Ayir Brown. Coming up this weekend, strange matchup. Niners haven't won in Cleveland since like the 80s. They haven't beaten an AFC team since week 4 last year. Kyle's never beaten Jim Schwartz since he's been with the Niners. He's 1-9 in his entire career against him. They have a good defense. It's going to be raining and cold. Brock's not 100% healthy, and yet the Cleveland Browns suck. So what do you think? Will the Niners win?
It's going to be super low scoring.
Yeah.
Cleveland's going to totally take away the Niners offense, and Saleh's going to confuse Deion's kid. Deion's kid had one nice throw to Dylan Sampson out of the backfield. He took it all the way down the field. He had one deep throw, 52-yard bomb, which was really nice. Put it right on the money. But I'm not a Shador fan. I don't think Shador is consistent in what he does, and I think Robert Saleh will have enough things in the game plan to show him different looks and then roll into other things. I think this is going to be a turnover-laden game. I'm going to say the two sides combined for 5 turnovers, and the 49ers win at 17-10.
Did you hear Robert Saleh, his answer to my question about Shador Sanders? I asked him, like, what do you think? Like, how does he...
He said he had a great arm, which I thought was a little surprising. I don't think of Shador's having a great arm, but he seemed to like him. He was very complimentary of him.
Well, I guess. And the way go back and listen to it. I was like, what do you think of him? How does he change their offense? He's like, well, they have a really good running back. And
right.
Jerry Jeudy's good. And their rookie tight end's good. So they're going to run the ball a lot. It's like, okay, like when are you going to say what you like about Shador? I guess it's fair, right? I mean, he's played a game and a half. He's not going back and watching Colorado footage. He's not thinking about that. So it's hard to really say what he does well. I don't know.
I mean, I've seen Shador move. He moves around. He can extend the pocket. He's pretty accurate underneath. He can make some plays. But there's just no consistency. There's not a lot of consistency. The guy is Judkins, though. Judkins is 225 pounds. He runs 4.4. So yeah, if Judkins somehow, and he's a talented guy. If Judkins gets rolling, it could be a long day.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a rainy day or maybe even a snowy day, and the game and it's just really hard to pass. Like, remember that game in Buffalo last year? It just comes down to who runs the ball better. Well, I mean, maybe the Niners in their 3.7 yards per carry rushing attack is going to slow them down a little bit.
Well, and I asked Brock what I thought was the ultimate question. I'm like, hey, man, are you going to be able to grip it and rip it in this weather?
Like, I don't know.
And he gave me kind of a long answer, but he didn't necessarily say yes, and it was like,
he was like, it's kind of tough. Any quarterback's going to have a tough time with that.
It's like,
are you going to wear a glove? No. Oh, okay.
He's not wearing the glove. Hey, by the way, he said, I've never worn a glove, and I didn't wear the glove in college either. But didn't he put on a glove in one of those games? Was it no, maybe not Philly, but I thought he wore a glove
halfway through
a couple snaps in some game. But he made it sound like he would never wear a glove, and he's never worn a glove.
Do you remember how bad he was in Buffalo last year?
No, in Buffalo.
Let me get the numbers up real quick. It was so bad. Now, he had a shoulder thing, but he's got a toe thing now. So in Buffalo last year, it was really snowing. 11 of 18, 94 yards.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to block out the end of last year. You had the Dobbs start. You had the Allen start against Green Bay.
I physically went to Green Bay and Buffalo back-to-back weeks. It was expensive and it was cold and I don't think I've recovered still.
Here's the question. Here's the question I have. Without Mac Jones, what would the Niners' record have been in those 8 games? If that had been Dobbs, if that had been Brandon Allen, heck, if that had been Adrian Martinez, which is hard to say because we haven't seen Adrian Martinez, but if that had been a lesser backup or a real true backup and not a starting player like Jones is, what do you think the Niners would have done in those
They'd be
games?
out of it right now. If it was Josh Dobbs out there. Is Josh Dobbs still in the league?
Yeah, he's
I don't even
somewhere.
think he's still in the league. Nah,
Oh,
they'd be out of it. They
yeah,
really owe a lot to Mac Jones.
yeah, they
He
do.
put them in this position to act like they don't need him anymore. Anoop says 8-4 frauds, play Purdy, and they'll narrowly miss the playoffs in a competitive NFC. That may be good news if the results is a new regime next year. Ooh, that's pretty bleak.
Wow.
Joseph Ernberg says, thankful for you two and the other creators. I root against this team every week. This team and regime is past its sell-by date. Brock's not top 32. Love you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
I love
Babo says,
I
aside
love
from the
Ernberg
picks,
too, man. Ernberg is I love the negativity, dude. I mean, it's awesome.
hey, man, you got salty fans. There's a place
Oh,
for them.
of
Babo says,
course.
aside from the picks, Ji'Ayir also looked like he took good angles and made short tackles against the Panthers. It was encouraging. Agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's make some prize picks. It is prize pick time. Let's go NFL. I'm thinking Niners. How do you feel about that? Okay, where you at, Niners? SF Cleveland.
Yeah,
Let's
let's see.
start with Brock. Ooh, that's lower than earlier this week because of the weather, I would imagine. Maybe because of the toe. 212, more or less.
Mm. I'm going to say less.
He's been less 2 weeks
I'm
in a
going to say
row.
less. I'm going to say less. I think this is a run the ball. I mean, at one point, I asked Brock about his offensive line, and he was like, he almost said, he goes, we would love to run the ball down there. He was going to say throat, and then he's like, we're going to run the ball down through all the gaps. That's what he said, through all the gaps. So yeah, I
Well, I guess
expect
that's the
a
game plan, right?
heavy run game. Heavy run game.
Okay, Shador Sanders, 158 and a half against the Niners. 158 and a half, more or less.
Gosh, I think it's gonna be more. I think it's gonna be more.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna look pretty. I think his completion percentage is gonna be close to 50%, but I think he's gonna have 175 yards.
Okay, what about Quinshawn Judkins, 69 and a half rushing yards, more or less?
More, double.
He's going to get a lot of carries. Christian, 68 and a half rushing yards, more or less.
I'm gonna say
It's a
more.
really good defense.
Yeah, but the Niners are gonna run it a ton.
They sure are.
Christian just seems like he's in this mode right now where it's like, do you know how about this? Christian leads the NFL in both rush attempts and receptions. It's freaking almost December. That's unbelievable. So
He leads
he's
the
just
league in catches?
he leads the league in catches and rush attempts.
That's remarkable for him, but I don't think it speaks well for Kyle. Like, come on, man. Come
No,
on,
seriously.
dude.
Why are you running this dude into the ground?
What are you
He's like
doing?
50% of your offense.
Shout out to Christian for doing it, but she shouldn't be asked to do this. Let's get one more or two. Harold Fannin, 39 and a half
Good.
receiving yards. He's kind of like their secret weapon.
Oh, no, definitely more. Definitely more. Niners struggle to cover the tight end. This guy's a really good receiver.
All right, last one. McCaffrey, the receiver, 39 and a half receiving yards. That seems easily attainable. I don't know. What do you think?
That seems oddly low. I'm going to go
Oddly
above.
low.
But
Okay,
yeah,
those are our picks. The only one we
definitely.
want less than is Brock. The other ones we're bullish about. Still, we're going to flex it, submit it, download prize picks, use promo code COHN, COHN, play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups when you use my promo code. Okay, I've got two more super chats and we're out of here. Swift Gotti, 25 says the overload of touches for CMC is part of his contract to get him into the Hall of Fame. Brock Purdy said working for CMC after the game. Thoughts?
I think it's just about the winning. I think it's just about winning the games. And Shanahan loves CMC. Can't get enough of them.
I think it's also about the contract. You gave him it. People criticized it last year, and now you get to sort of rewrite the narrative on that one by giving him 2,000 yards.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Brian Robinson's probably thinking, what the heck? What am I doing?
Why did you trade for me?
Why did you trade for me? Why didn't you just go with some guy off the street if you're going to give him 20% of the carries?
Isaac Garendo, Patrick Taylor. Whatever happened to Patrick Taylor? He got hurt, but he's still hurt. Anyway, Marcus Ralph says Purdy will have a strong arm one day, and the Saudi Arabia market with San Francisco 49ers partnership will be awesome, right, guy? Did you know that the latest guy they sold to, he's supposed to be like a local investor, but if you look at who his parent company is, it's like some Saudi Arabian company. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
the road trip to Dubai though.
I'm trying to go.
Could you imagine? You know, it's going to be like a football stadium on the top floor of like a
A skyscraper.
skyscraper
Yeah.
that's 7 billion floors. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
I would watch that. Sure Payne 418 says, I think because of how the Niners treated Dion after the 94 season, there will be extra motivation for Shador. He wasn't even born.
Yeah,
But
that's
maybe
a stretch, man.
But maybe Mark Lamar says, I am a Matt guy at this point. However, I also am looking forward to them playing Brock Purdy so we can get this over. Let it play out. Prove me wrong, Brock Purdy. I agree. I agree with that.
Give me this, Grant, before we go. Give me this. How do you think this season plays out with these two quarterbacks? Because I think I'm ready to give my prediction.
I think Mac's going to play again. I don't think Brock's going to finish the year. I don't think he's going to make it. It's looking bad. I think he's going to keep throwing picks, and they're going to say his toe hurts.
This is what I'm going to predict. I think Brock Purdy's going to play well, win games, have a recurrence of the toe, come out, be deemed out for the year. They're going to the playoffs. Jones is going to Brock's going to start the first playoff game. He's going to exacerbate the toe so bad that he can't play. Jones is going to win 2 playoff games, and they're going to play the Super Bowl at Levi's with Jones.
I like that. That's way juicier than mine. See, here's the thing about the Niners. If they make the playoffs, you already know they're going to the NFC Championship game. Since 2002, they either have missed the playoffs or gone to the NFC Championship game. So it's one or the other. And if they make it and Mac's starting, he's going to the NFC Championship game. And then they got to figure out what to do after that. It'd be interesting. They could do it.
Whoever is standing in the winner's circle on Super Bowl Sunday, quarterback wise, if the Niners get the 6th ring, whoever quarterbacks them to that win in that game will be the quarterback.
It's true. You could have a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles situation. Guys, thanks so much for watching, Larry. Phenomenal show. Appreciate you coming on.
Happy Thanksgiving, bro.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I won't see you tomorrow, but I'll see you when I see you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.